Hey there, internet friends. Welcome to another episode of That Nerdy Site Show, a weekly podcast where the team members from That Nerdy Site get together, talk about our lives and all of the nerdy things we love about them. I'm your host, Trevor Starkey, and joining me as always, Cameron Abbott. How you doing, Cameron?
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
What's going on is Cameron and I spent a good chunk of this weekend watching Wrestlemania 41, so that is what we are going to chat about. Pretty much just a Wrestlemania episode. WrestleMania Night 1 and Night 2, kind of talking through our thoughts on the matches and the outcomes and all that stuff. So,
Also, the outcome of the Portillo's bet.
indeed, yes. If you like what you hear, please remember to like, subscribe, rate, review, share the podcast with your friends, all that fun stuff. Diving in, speaking of the Portillo's bet, the news at the top of the hour. I got a clean sweep. I nailed every prediction of the 14 matches. We made predictions. You and I made predictions Friday night before the event started. We left a couple open because there was like the Randy Orton versus TBA match. And then we made predictions for the women's tag match. But during the pre-show on Saturday, it was announced that Bayley was not going to be in the match and that Lyra was going to have a mystery opponent. So we allowed for the option to re-predict that match after the new person was announced. We got 14 matches. I got all of them right. We differed on, I think, 5 when all was said and done, because you and I went different on the Randy Orton match. And so you got all of the ones that we differed on wrong. But you still, you got 9 out of 14 right overall.
Well, Trevor, that's what happens when you have a clean sweep.
Indeed, yes. Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, yeah.
I lost all the ones we were different.
Still a good showing.
No, it wasn't
it was one of those, like, we had 3 matches that we differed on the first night, so we knew already going into Sunday that I was gonna win the differences between us. But we kicked off Saturday with the Gunther versus Jey Uso match. We're also I'll throw out here. I watched everything kind of as it aired live. Cameron was out with family stuff kind of at the beginning of Mania both nights, so he joined in kind of late in the game. Like I think you only caught the main event on Saturday, right?
No, I caught Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair.
Oh, you were here for that too. Okay.
I had just missed LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu.
Okay, gotcha. And then you got here tonight during the or right before the Randy Orton stuff.
No, because I saw all of women's tag match. Oh wait, that ended up going after. You're right. Sorry, I'm looking at like our predictions list, which is not technically in order anymore.
Yeah, I'm trying to juggle between that for our predictions and the Wikipedia breakdown that doesn't have it in order.
I missed Io Sky and I missed.
You missed the street fight and you missed the Intercontinental Championship match today.
So I missed like about half of them today.
Yep. But then you caught the highlights packages for everything, including the ones before we sat down to record tonight. So we'll just kind of talk through kind of match by match what the thoughts were. We kicked off with the Jey Uso versus Gunther match. Both of us had predicted Jey was going to win, leaning into the full Yeatlemania thing. This one felt like a slow start to me, but I did like I liked that it was basically like Jey had the like never give up kind of vibe to it, and basically Gunther couldn't keep him down. And then to the point that Jey ends up not taking Gunther out with his standard moveset. He does his moves, but then instead of going for the pin, he does the submission hold to take out Gunther via a Gunther style submission.
Yep. Turned the tables on Gunther, beat him at his own game, something Gunther said he could never do.
Yeah.
So
the big thing I love here is that they're continuing to play with the idea that Gunther just underestimates underdogs.
Yep.
Obviously, he lost his record-setting Intercontinental reign to Sami Zayn last year. Lost the WWE or the World Heavyweight Championship here to Jey. I definitely don't think Jey's gonna keep the belt long, but he got his big WrestleMania moment here. Had a nice little, obviously the crowd absolutely eating him up and loving it and stuff like that. Did you have any thoughts on this one?
Couple. I saw something like a statement by Paul Heyman when he talked about like people like, even though I don't think Jay's the best like in-ring worker, he's clearly working from the handicap of being a tag team partner for 15 years before moving into the single spot. So I talked to you about it yesterday. It's like a lot of his moves are either finishers or setup signatures. Like, he doesn't have like a super strong signature to finisher kind of momentum that you want to see out of a main eventer. That being said, I saw the statement by Paul Heyman that Jay is number one in merch sales.
Has been for quite a while.
For a while. His main event Jey Uso kind of persona has been the man of the people. He is definitely going to be like a people's champion style champion going forward for however long he holds onto this belt. And seeing him pull out some moves we've never seen from him before, finishing it off with a I forgot what the technical move is. I don't know if it's triangle sleeper or something else, but no, because the triangle sleeper is when you're in front of them. But he does like a wrapped leg sleeper hold, which is like you mentioned, a Gunther style finisher. Like, that's how Gunther finishes somebody out, by choking them out because he's so much stronger than them.
It's in the build to this, it was in the segment where he like beat and bloodied Jimmy, that he basically had Jimmy in that lock while Jay was basically zip tied to the ropes and couldn't get to save his brother kind of thing. So it was very much a like giving you the like a taste of your own medicine kind of vibe here.
Yep. Finishing it that way, I was like, that's a strong finish for Jay. It definitely sets him up. And at the same time, like you mentioned, Gunther's not weaker from this match. It's, once again, he underestimates those underdogs. Yeah. The underdog from the underground, Sami Zayn, lost to him in a big fight. And then now losing to Jey Uso. Like, Gunther is, I mean, let's be real, comes off real fascist vibes with his intro, like everything about him. So he's not popular in the best of times, much less when we're in the current political climate. But I think that Gunther is also just such a powerhouse. I have so much respect for him because he took the criticism about his original physique when he entered WWE. He was a little huskier, and he has just now become such a trim fit that the kind of like perfectionist, black and white, like these like very like oppressive atmosphere and attitude that he has, it works extremely well for him. And I don't think he's really losing too much out of this match other than the championship. And this is not going to be his last championship by a long shot. I see him doing a return. I don't know how they play off of this going forward with either of them, if they keep the rivalry going or not, but because you and I both think that Seth Rollins is coming for the heavyweight championship.
Yeah, I think this, especially because this one kind of started back at like the Netflix debut kind of thing. Yep. This is very much putting to bed the Jey Uso versus Gunther thing. Rumors have been spiraling for a little while now that Gunther's probably going to do the match at SummerSlam, which will be Goldberg's final match, his retirement match, and Gunther being like the challenger for that. And then the other element is they made a big deal recently that like when you factor in like WWE, NXT UK, and all that stuff, Gunther has held a title for 80% plus of his time on the WWE roster. So sometime away from the belts to have him sink into some other stuff, I think is going to be an interesting challenge. But then I think I don't think he'll be away from the title scene long.
No, I think that some faction stuff with his Imperium faction versus maybe the New Day, maybe
that's the like Imperium is just him and Kaiser at this point. So I don't know where, and Kaiser even there is like barely around, I feel like,
because he's valeting Stratton, isn't he?
No, they're just dating.
Oh, they're just dating in real life.
Okay. That's just IRL dating. Kaiser was in one of the mid-title scenes for a little bit. That's like the biggest stuff he's done recently. So they could certainly tag team it up and go in there. I don't think, and I don't know which brand they're on in terms of like which tag team titles they would be in there against, I guess it'd be Raw, right? So
yeah, it'd be Raw.
I don't really see them.
Who's the SmackDown champions?
The Street Profits.
Where were they?
So that was a big thing. The SmackDown titles are going to be defended in a TLC match on SmackDown this week. But yeah, basically they didn't get a Mania match.
That's wild. That really, oof.
Yeah, it's been Street Profits, DIY, and Motor City Machine Guns, kind of hot-shotting the belts for a little while.
That would have been a pretty kick-ass match here at Mania.
Yeah, I mean I think they were. Everybody has basically been like, why is the New Day and War Raiders getting the shot versus but not the SmackDown titles. I think with all of the belts that weren't featured on the show, it's like, why the hell weren't they featured on the show? Like, get your shit together.
I was about to ask you, I was like, I don't know who they are, like who the SmackDown is, but like they're still branded, so there has to be SmackDown tag team titles.
So they're not branded anymore. It is
is it Universal versus Heavyweight or what?
Yeah, it's like they basically, because they didn't want to have to keep doing that thing where like, oh, we're doing a draft and we're gonna draft one team over, and hey, now the Raw tag team titles are on SmackDown. So when they rebranded the women's titles, they rebranded the tag titles as well. So the New Day now are the World Tag Team Champions, and then I believe the WWE Tag Team Champions are the SmackDown belts. Yeah.
Hey, whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, that was one of the big talking points kind of going into this week, was like, why New Day and War Raiders, but not the other side, especially because the Raw tag scene has been like bare bones. So that was where a lot of the like
criticism for this is. Yeah,
a lot of people were talking about, and we're kind of just segueing into the tag match that was that followed up the Jay Gunther match. But a lot of people were like, oh, if you're putting New Day and the War Raiders on there, you're doing that so far after the great New Day heel turn on Big E happened, and then they just kind of like did nothing for it or with it for months. So like, are you heating it back up so that you can bring Big E into the fold and have him engage in some way or something like that? And then that just didn't happen. It was just New Day, heel New Day, getting a new record-setting reign kind of thing, because this is their, I think, 13th tag title.
Yeah, they're the most. They've been the most tag team title holders of all time. So shout out to the Freebird rule for letting all three of them be part of it for such a long time.
Yeah. So my hopes with them winning here are that it will kind of give the tag scene on Raw a kick in the pants, and
hopefully,
they can be slimy heel champion that all the other teams are trying to get to, and New Day at least have a big enough cachet and sell enough merch and stuff like that they'll hopefully be featured a little bit more regularly.
Huh? Is this where we see the Imperium? You can't do a face turn on with these guys. You just can't.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's not happening.
That's what triggered this whole conversation. I don't think you have Gunther and Kaiser, even if they do go into the tag scene. I don't think they're the right team to go up against heel New Day. I think you need like the faces on in the Raw side of things to go up against New Day for a little while and fail. But yeah, we'll see. New Day versus War Raiders match. I was telling you about this. The entrances for the War Raiders, poor guys, they had to deal with like Clash of Clans branded like war gear, which just looked incredibly stupid. And then the match itself, a little under 10 minutes, but it was New Day healing it up for the crowd, doing heely things. I'm never gonna I love the New Day too much, even in heel form, especially because they had such a great turn. I loved that they won, and then they just immediately booked it up the ramp because they won in a little bit of heelish fashion with Kofi holding down the feet. It's a shame because War Raiders, they've been like champs for a few months and just didn't really get to do anything with it because the scenes on, I think, both shows are just so crowded, and they had too many storylines going on that like tag just isn't the priority for WWE in a lot of cases. So
it's a shame too. I mean, but I get it though. Like, what do you bump then?
Yeah.
Because I'm also looking at this card, and it's like, okay, well, what would I bump to put the SmackDown on? And I'm like, the thing I would bump is the War Raiders New Day to have a triple threat ladder match.
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily. I don't think you need to necessarily bump anything. You can just throw in another match. You can bring in some of the time on some of these matches, or cut down the entrance time on some of these matches.
Looking at you, Paul.
Or hey, we don't need
AJ Styles. Oh,
yeah, I mean that's if I was to cut any match from this, it'd be the AJ Styles Logan Paul match. But I
don't
would
want to
say
do that to AJ. He just got back.
Yeah. The bigger thing I would say is like we don't need to cut to 3 or 4 celebrities in the crowd every time.
Sure.
Especially fucking Dana White who got like 2 spots and got booed crazily both times. So
yeah, because Dana White
shout out to the audience correctly identifying that Dana White's a piece of shit. But yeah, like they threw out like they classified UFC fighters as way too high brand of a celebrity for my personal taste. Like knowing that the Boy Meets World cast was there enjoying WrestleMania and never got like the shout out. That was annoying. I'm sure. Well, I guess Kieran Culkin wouldn't have been there because he's doing stuff in New York on Broadway. But I imagine Macaulay Culkin was probably there. So
probably
like. You know, him not getting a spotlight or something. Anyway, so like those kinds of things are what I would cut. Yeah. But yeah, New Day, I hope that they, get a good, heel slimy run to just kind of continue to milk, the crowds booing them and stuff like that. Then we had Jade Cargill versus Naomi. This match I wrote basically felt like it was kind of working at halftime.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that was, Jade couldn't keep up with what Naomi was trying to do, or I couldn't tell if it was like, miscommunication between the two of them or whatever it was, but it felt like they were doing a lot of setup for their spots that felt like setup for a spot instead of like a natural reaction to a move or something like that.
The highlights for this one aren't very long, but I will also say that from what I saw, that fits the bill for it, and it's a weird comparison also to make it to another match later on of like weird miscommunications happening maybe. I don't know.
Because it was also, I want to say it was also Jade's first match back.
It is her first match
since
back.
all of her time off.
So it could just also be some ring rust, like post-injury ring rust.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Yeah. I mean, good for them for getting the other thing I highlighted was like it's embarrassing to WWE that this is the first women's singles match that didn't feature a title or a shitty 90s Attitude Era bra and panties or evening gown match stipulation or something like that. It was the first non-title, non-stipulation singles match compared to like the 3 men's matches that are on the card in that same kind of boat. So the fact that it took them 41 years to get one for the women is like, that's not a thing you should be celebrating. That's a thing that you should be embarrassed by. But yeah. Jacob Fatu defeats LA Knight for the United States Championship.
This match kicked ass.
Yeah. This was a ton of fun. Oh, the Jade Cargill versus Naomi match, I think, was the first one that you and I differed on.
No, we differed on. Oh, we skipped over it. Rey Mysterio versus El Grande Americano.
That's
later.
That's on our that's on our doc. But that happens later in the.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
Night. Yeah, you were going for Naomi. I went for Jade Cargill. So
yep.
That was where my lead began. But yes, Jacob Fatu defeating LA Knight. This was a fun match, especially like thinking back. There were a few wrestlers on this year's card where I'm like, that's right, they hadn't even debuted this time or for Mania last year, and Jacob Fatu being like one of those who basically I think pops up the night after WrestleMania or something as part of Solo's new faction. Or very early on after.
I think it was the second week after Mania because it was. Is it Toma Tonga was there first and then showed up first and then Jacob Fatu?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Toma Tonga, Tongaloa. And Jacob Fatu.
Jacob Fatu was the third one, so he popped up a little bit later than the others.
Yeah. But all that said, Jacob Fatu, as soon as he came on the scene, everybody's like, he's got the stuff. Yeah. He's going to be a world champion someday. So this being the start of his title reign.
He's a mean looking dude. Like he is like he could be the sweetest guy in the entire world, but man, he is a mean looking dude.
Mm-hmm.
And he wrestles like a mean looking dude. Like, it's been a long time since I've seen a wrestler who walks their walk, talks their talk, and then also does all of that in the ring too. Mm-hmm. Like, this is a mean looking guy who's athletic as hell, who LA Knight is such a great performer, and him and Jacob Fatu like put on a clinic. It was phenomenal.
Yeah. LA Knight had a great BFT out of nowhere, basically. I think Jacob was doing one of his like moonsaults or something off the top rope, and LA Knight hit his finisher basically in the air, but Jacob was able to get his hand on the ropes to survive, and then just ended up doing a couple of his big old dirty moonsaults, and took the win from LA Knight. And then we had the
oh my gosh, I finally get why he's called the Samoan Werewolf, because he specializes in doing moonsaults.
Okay, sure.
Maybe, I don't know. It's a weird ass nickname to begin with, but
indeed, yeah.
It's one of the ones that you'd like be like, select a wrestler and you choose it.
I mean, it definitely strikes me more as like, just unleashed,
sure,
goes wild and stuff like that. Then we had El Grande Americano defeating Rey Fenix. Rey Mysterio was injured on the SmackDown basically the night before, so he wasn't able to. He was not cleared for the match, so Rey Fenix came in and replaced him.
You did give me an opportunity to swap. I said no.
Yep.
Because fuck it, we ball. So.
I had already made the prediction that I thought El Grande Americano was going to go over. You originally thought Rey Mysterio. I texted you while you were at your family's thing. I was like, hey, Mysterio's not going to be in it, but they're replacing him with Rey Fenix. Do you want to change your decision? You said nope. Let's go Rey Fenix. And they did the same kind of thing that El Grande Americano has been doing, where they're having a good match, good lucha style match and stuff like that. But then El Grande Americano, while the ref is distracted with something else, throws a little metal kind of strip in his mask up on the forehead. So usually when he does that, he then headbutts the opponent, and basically the metal, is doing the work. This time Rey Fenix kind of had that scouted, didn't do it, but Rey Fenix did his like running on the rope and kind of booting somebody to the face, which then got his foot hurt. I loved on commentary Michael Cole, who has just been like, who the whole time has been saying, I can't believe Chad Gable's doing this. It's obviously Chad Gable. This is, Chad Gable's a piece of crap. And now look, he's putting the metal thing in his plate. They do that whole spot, and Phoenix goes down on the on the canvas and starts grabbing his foot. And Michael Cole says like, oh, it looks like he sprained his ankle on the fall off the rope or whatever. And Wade Barrett's like, or I don't know if it was Wade or Pat McAfee, but like one of them was like, no, I think it's probably that he kicked the metal plate. And Michael Cole's like, oh yeah, right. that's exactly what it was. And so it was like he completely forgot the story that he was telling in the moment. So some fun commentary stuff there. But then El Grande Americano does the diving headbutt off the top rope and gets him in for the win. I'm like, there was also debate because he was still announced as hailing from the Gulf of America, but then on commentary they were like, no, we've cleared this up on Pat McAfee's show. It's the Gulf of America now, but he hails from the Gulf of Mexico because that's what it was when he was clearly born, and so they're trying to like retcon it and
demagify it.
Yeah, demagify it, like not piss people off. I still think that like making that part of this heel character's backstory is very funny.
I think it's still funny too,
for the type of lucha thing. But I also fully understand and respect the criticisms that are out there, especially on the heels of WWE acquiring AAA yesterday, or Saturday. That it isn't the best look to have Chad Gable in here stealing the spotlight from legit luchadors and Mexican wrestlers on the WWE stage. But I like it from the perspective of Chad Gable's great and always does great work with whatever is given to him, and this is no exception. And like they're doing it in a way that you're clearly not supposed to like him. He is very much the in character, in universe heel of the story stuff, and I think it's all designed seemingly to put over somebody when somebody does finally take him out.
I also think it's a great opportunity for Chad Gable to show he's not just a Greco-Roman style wrestler.
Sure.
I was really impressed.
Yeah, he did like a friggin' reverse 450.
Yep.
That looked incredible, and like everybody was like blown away by it in the audience. So.
He's clearly been training for a long time to start doing moves like this, and what a great excuse! It reminds me of some Western wrestlers from like Canada and the United States and Mexico who go to Japan in the 90s and just steal the spotlight there, whether it's the now deceased and defamed Chris Benoit as Kid Unicorn. You have, the entire story of forgot his name right off the bat. Dragon something. Old masked wrestler from Japan went to Mexico. They forged friendships there.
Ultimo
Dragon. Thank you. The exchange of wrestling, of luchador and Japanese wrestling being tied into it, and I think that Chad Gable doing this journey is in a weird way an homage to that as well, because that was always mythified, like the myth of going to Japan as a luchador meant that you came back different. There's the New Japan program where they send kind of intermediate wrestlers, journeyman wrestlers, they send them to promotions to get experience outside of New Japan and then bring them back. That's where you get like Los Ingobernables de Japón with Naito and New Japan and everything that he did there. He brought a lot back with that kind of like this like heel faction from like AAA and bringing that over there. So him, like, it's weird that, and it's like they're clearly doing it in a heel fashion and like a WWE fashion with this whole. He went on that journey, did all of that, was revealed the mask, and he's like, it's his alter ego now and everything like that. I think that it's a very cool way to pay homage to these older stories, but at the same time, embrace kind of like, this is WWE. So that's one thing I wanted to point out. It's like, I was blown away. I was like, okay, this is not just a gimmick for gimmick's sake. This is Chad Gable saying, I want to expand my repertoire. I want to expand what I'm capable of doing, and showcasing it in a way that also, in a great way, putting the metal bar in your mask. He's not the first luchador to do that. He's using old ass luchador heel tactics to do this, and it's great. It's awesome. I was blown away by him. I was just like, this is a fantastic match, and he's having these like Rey Fenix, Rey Mysterio, Penta, like luchador wrestlers, true luchador wrestlers, kind of like induct him into this sort of I don't want to call it a brotherhood, but like this idea of what it means to do luchador wrestling and kind of expanding that out. And I think that, in true heel fashion, he is an American. He's a gringo. Let him be from the coast, like the Gulf of America. Lean into that, I think. But like you mentioned, also totally understand right now, political climate, not a fun thing to be doing MAGA stuff when we have, due process being ignored. So I get, I echo your concern or your understanding of the people's concerns. I feel that as well. If they needed to drop that, that's cool. But I think it's wild to think of like this happened. I guess it speaks to, I think, WWE's priorities and like who they care about when somebody is offended. Yeah. When you compare like this to like the who was it? The guy, the Mahmoud Hussein? No, that's a guy I went to high school with. Shout out to Mahmoud Hussein. Trevor remembered you. Yeah. The guy who was the the terrorist back in 2001 after 9/11. Not after. I mean, like a few years after 9/11.
the guy who got cut because of like the London bombings, basically airing the same night he was doing a little bit more terrorist angle kind of thing. WWE wrestler. I'm just trying to find who I'm calling here. Muhammad Hassan. That's what I'm looking for. And admitted, like the guy was also like an Italian playing a Muslim or something like that. I think so.
Playing Middle Eastern,
yeah, not great and all that stuff. Anyway, but like the network basically was like, you gotta write this guy off TV because we can't be showing that, and WWE immediately ended that guy's career, which he was just trying to do the part that Vince basically was forcing him into anyway. So
listen, at least Vince never did the frozen Nazi angle, okay?
Sure, yeah, I guess. I'm not particularly inclined to give Vince any kind of flowers.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, no, fuck Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
I finally watched that documentary, by the way, the one on Netflix.
The Netflix one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, wow, this dude's fucked up.
Yep. Even before the final 2 episodes where they're like, well, hey, our whole documentary changed after this news broke, and Vince stopped showing up for these interviews at that point.
Yep. Everything before that, I was like,
oh, wow. Yeah. He was still also a piece of shit for everything before that.
Yep. Yeah. Just a gigantic piece of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to Mania. Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair here.
Man, this is a rough match. This was rough to watch.
This was, I mentioned in the Naomi and Jade stuff, it looked like there was miscommunication there. It looked like in this one that it was a mix of like, hey, we're just gonna fight for real for some stuff, and then it kind of juggled that and some spots back and forth, because there were a lot of stuff where it was like, all right, you set up for the spot and then you didn't do the spot.
Yeah.
But then you set up for the spot again and then you did it that time, or like a reversal on a reversal on a reversal. It was
messy.
Weird.
This was probably the messiest match of Mania. But I will also say, like, part of this is also a matter of, and I think it boils down to this because I rewatched the highlights of the parts of the match I didn't catch, and I'm like, I think it boils down to this: you have Tiffany Stratton, who's still real raw, still real new. And then you have Charlotte, who is fresh back from injury.
Yeah.
And I think you have some ring rust, and you think you have a new hand. And normally you would rely on Charlotte being the old hand to get Stratton through this cleanly and make her look good. And I think there was attempts to do that, but I think that there is just ring rust that comes into it. And I think that there is just also some real fucking animosity between these two women. So
yeah, I would be very curious. This is the kind of match that in years past gets a lot of they do a lot of house show matches between the two to build up to this, where they can kind of work on here are sequences we're going to do in the Mania match and stuff like that. And they
just doesn't feel like that happened.
Bad finishes and the house show stuff like that and whatever. And yeah, it feels like that didn't happen, potentially because of the supposed animosity. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff about their feud going into it, with the promos going off script and digging into real life stuff that hadn't really been cleared, and the idea of Charlotte kind of going off script deliberately to see if Tiffy can kind of
hang with it. Yeah, that was a problem
and stuff like that. And yeah, a lot of it struck me as unprofessional on Charlotte's part, while Charlotte's also out here doing a little press tour about trying to come back from this year of injury and a year where she had some personal stuff going on, trying to come back and be babyface, and then very clearly the audience not accepting her as a babyface, and that maybe rattling her a little bit too.
There's just problems that were, I think, multitude leading into this match. Match was executed, I think, pretty it made its way through, and they got through it. And there are some highlights for sure. There are some definite highlights to this match, but I think it is just a combination of ring rust and just not a lot of stuff worked out ahead of time or worked out during the match. I'm are you calling stuff in the ring and there's a misunderstanding or what? There's some the missed spots are so glaringly obvious and it's awkward.
Yeah, the fact that Tiffany ultimately goes over here, I think is certainly as much as I predicted, you predicted as well. We both predicted that being the choice, but also like that was probably the riskiest because you are betting against Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
You know, Charlotte Flair who ended Asuka's streak, Charlotte Flair who buried a NXT Rhea Ripley instead of letting Rhea Ripley, you know, go over there at the beginning of the pandemic kind of stuff. And yeah, ultimately like Rhea has gone over Charlotte since then and stuff like that. But it definitely felt like this is a weird feud, and it maybe it is something that like this is the first bout that they have, and you know they're gonna keep it going, or maybe they go in different directions at this point. But ultimately, we were talking today, Tiffany being only 25 years old, just fresh out of NXT, and you know this, you know, having this big WrestleMania moment because this was her first Mania.
She was a fitness model before she was a wrestler, like a fitness influencer. She is not, so she does not have like I was 18 to 25, I was doing bingo hall shows. Like she doesn't have that background. I think she's extremely athletic. I think her triple bounce moonsault is
the prettiest moonsault ever.
Yep.
It's very funny when you have basically her and Jacob Fatu doing the exact same move as their finishers.
Listen, if you wanted to make a pairing Beauty and the Beast style, you want to do that? Like, drop Kaiser, date Fatu. Let's make it happen, Tiffy. Okay, let's do some real Beauty and the Beast stuff because that is not just his nickname, you know.
All right, calm down.
I'm calming down.
So then, definitely a messy match, but I'm intrigued with the results, and I'm very curious, especially with Charlotte, where Charlotte goes from here, because Charlotte seems to always kind of just gravitate. Charlotte's like the Roman Reigns or the Brock Lesnar of like, she's just always in the big title picture. Maybe she goes for the mid-card title stuff now.
Yeah, there's mid-card titles for her to go for. Chelsea Green, USA champ, USA Women's Champion.
US champ,
US champ. You have also missing from here.
Yeah.
Completely.
She not even on the Mania card, whereas Lyra at least was on the card in the women's tag stuff. But with Lyra being the Intercontinental Champion. That was another thing of like, hey, why introduce these belts if you're not going to actually put them on the biggest stage with everything else?
It makes sense. That being said, I will say that I think there's cards if you're like, hey, Chelsea Green's not a big enough superstar to put her on the card. Like I got problems with this already, but even as I'm brokering it out, I have problems with it on a personal level. But you could have it be like, listen, how many times has she won the women's championship? 8, 12 times?
Charlotte?
Yeah.
I think she's up at like 15.
Yeah. She's a
or maybe 14, and this was going to be trying for 15.
Yeah.
I forget, but
she is
she's basically already almost knocking at her dad's record, quote unquote.
When I'm looking at this, I'm like, you could easily say, oh, Charlotte Flair. It's like when John Cena held the U.S. title, right? His open U.S. title challenge, like it really helped bring a belt that had been kind of like left into obscurity for such a long time. Like bring that back in, elevate it. Then you had, Kevin Owens carrying it afterwards, and really keeping that title in prestige status for a long time. I can see her doing that with like the U.S. or Intercontinental Championship of being like, this is a prestige title, not just something they're given to us. And actually, that'd be a good feud point of her up against Lyra or up against Chelsea of being like, you having this, it's a joke. It's not taken seriously. I'm going to win this belt and I'm going to elevate it. Like you could do a pretty good angle off of that.
Sure.
And then the counterpoint would be like, you're just here because you can't, like, you've lost a step and you can't keep up with the main event, like with the champion. Like that's a problem for you. Like you can easily pull that rivalry.
Yeah.
Even if both of them are technically supposed to be heels, you could have it go that way.
Yeah, that's like Chelsea Green, technically a heel, but everybody loves her. Everybody
she's amazing.
her because she maximizes all her minutes. So the fact that they didn't give her a WrestleMania thing is
criminal.
It's definitely a dick move, especially like it is the kind of thing where it's like they had 3-hour pre-shows. They could at least even put matches on the pre-shows to warm up the crowd and stuff like that, but nope. So that like really there's the thing. Like these are 7-card shows each night, but that's all on the main show, the main 4-hour, 3.5-hour, 4-hour show, and you had 3 hours of running the promo packages and doing bullshit analysis beforehand, then you run those same promo packages in the main card show as they always do. And it's you could have absolutely booked in, a couple of those matches as, hey, they're not on the WrestleMania card, but they're here in the pre-show. They're here as part of WrestleMania weekend. Absolutely. I think they could have done that. So
no battle royales in a pre-show. Like,
that's the thing is like, they don't even do the Andre the Giant battle royale. Yeah. They completely gave up on the women's battle royale. I'm pretty sure.
Because during the pandemic, they scrapped all that, right?
No, it was they introduced the women's battle royale, but I believe they introduced it as the Fabulous Moolah battle royale.
Oh,
everybody's like, "Hey, Moolah's fucking sucks, so don't do that."
Yeah, Moolah is from an era of like when we talk about dirtbag promoters, Moolah's one of them.
Yeah, so basically they scrapped the name for it, but they kept the battle royale, I think, for a year or two. But yeah, it's both of them have basically been relegated to the SmackDown before Mania the last couple of years, and I just don't think they even did the women's one this year. I think
that's just shitty.
Just the men's.
That's just shitty.
Battle royale, and it's like at least when it was as like at Mania, it was okay. You got everybody on the Mania card, cool. You gave everybody a little Mania moment. They got to be out there in front of that crowd, and now it's just, well, we're not going to do it there. We're just going to do it on the SmackDown before. Which then makes the SmackDown before not even feel like a go-home SmackDown because you're spending time on that instead of like doing a big final bit for your storyline thing. So anyway, but speaking of big storyline stuff, the final match of night one, and easily the best match of night one, I would say.
Yes.
The triple threat between the Paul Heyman on a pole match, the triple threat between CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins, where you had CM Punk calling in his favor to have Paul Heyman join him and be in his corner for the match rather than serve as the wise man to Roman Reigns. So you had a whole bunch of dynamic there. This was the big one where I was like really happy of nailing that prediction, and I wasn't alone in that, but nailing the prediction of Paul basically turning on both Punk and Roman to side with Seth and get Seth the win at the end and make Seth Rollins the new Paul Heyman guy moving forward. A lot of fun, and just the best version of this kind of match, I think. 3 stars, all kind of at the height of their powers, spam all coming in with a couple finishers in the tank, basically being able to dole out the finishers, being able to survive a lot of finishers.
There's a great finisher moment set up where all 3 got laid out after doing all of theirs.
Yeah, the GTS on Rollins into the spear on Punk, and then Rollins recovering enough out of the GTS to do the stomp on Reigns, and then all 3 of them are down.
Great stuff. Rollins has that incredible highlight moment of him not the first time, but definitely like the first time at Mania, I think, reversing the spear into a pedigree.
Yeah.
Picture perfect. At least at that angle, it's picture perfect. It's so well executed. In slow-mo, it looks beautiful.
Yeah. The tease of the Shield powerbomb spot with with Roman being like, all right, let's do it. Get him up, put him up for me. And then just him clocking Rollins and doing the powerbomb to Punk just alone. And then also doing the powerbomb through the other table to Rollins was fun. And like, that was the moment when he did those powerbombs, like, Roman's not winning this match.
Nope.
He just got way too much powerful offense outside of the ring to actually be walking away from being the winner of this match.
Also, shout out to the John Moxley shout out of being like,
he brought us in. He brought like you, me, Mox. Not calling him Dean, calling him Mox.
Calling him Mox. Like that's something Seth can get away with.
Exactly.
You Seth Rollins can get away with doing that. Nobody else could, except Roman probably could as well.
Yeah.
Gosh, that's such a that those 3 are such bros. They're such good friends, and getting them to getting a bit of a little bit of a shout out to John for from the 2 of them is a nice touch.
Yeah.
Especially when they kept cutting him out of the video package.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely a thing they've done for a while now.
Yeah.
Of like, let's cut this down to focus everything on in the same way that because it was like during the pandemic, they kept cutting Reigns out of the, like when it was Seth versus Brock for something, like they would highlight the heist of the century moment, but they kept cutting around the fact that Rollins pinned Reigns in that match because I think that was when Reigns had basically gone home because he didn't want to be around the COVID stuff.
Yeah, which in his defense, he
was absolutely the right call. He's a leukemia survivor. Yeah,
a two-time leukemia survivor. His leukemia came out of remission right before the pandemic. He's better. The pandemic hits. And he's like, cool. I'm not around anybody. I'm super susceptible to dying from this thing.
Yeah, it was absolutely like
the correct
fuck
call.
you, Vince. I like cut around me all you want. That's fine. I'm still not coming.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was a great match. And then we got the finally the setup of everybody's down. Paul goes over, grabs the chair. You get all this like apprehension of who's he going to give it to. Like Roman and Punk see it. They both kind of have that moment of who's he going to give it to. He gives it to Punk. Punk's like, yeah, it's right. Roman's super betrayed, all this stuff. And then Paul low blows Punk. Something I saw interesting today in kind of the recap of everything. Paul is very distraught about like low blowing Punk. He feels very, very bad about that.
Yep.
Gives the chair to Roman, basically points Roman to Rollins, who's starting to recover, but in that like reverse shield chair shot.
He's staring at the ramp.
Yeah.
He's like trying to recover, appears to be like trying to recover, and just like standing there wobbly.
Yeah. So Punk's Heyman is basically like, do it, give him the chair shot. And Roman goes to set up for it, and Heyman gives him the low blow too, but is not remorseful of the Roman shot. He is like, it is almost as if he is paying Roman back for the 4 years that he basically had to serve as his wise man, kind of in duress. And so he's very he's much more relishing that low blow. And then my favorite little moment of it is basically he gets the chair from Roman now, and
Seth
Rollins just holds his hand out, not even looking at Heyman, just knowing that everything has gone according to plan. Give me the chair. We're going to finish this now. Full Seth Rollins heel turn back into the architect kind of.
The architect, the designer, the visionary, like just perfect. Literally perfect. The fact that when he comes out, he was doing like, I'm in my big flowy outfit and like I got a flamethrower, I'll burn it down, blackout. Comes in illuminated in all white with a definite homage to the crown of thorns from the Bible
on his sunglasses.
On his sunglasses.
Happy Easter.
Yeah, Happy Easter. From like, it's like, is that the crown of thorns from the Bible?
Yeah.
It's like, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. He is doing the thing where he's saying I'm Jesus without saying I'm Jesus again.
I mean, well, because another one of his gimmicks for a while was the Monday Night Messiah.
Yeah.
So it's very much like a return, kind of like going through best hits of
it really is.
Of Seth. And
we just get that perfect when it's like hands in the chair and then just takes it out on Roman, and it's just like it's so perfect. I like Seth as a face. I like him as like a vindictive face of like, I'm going after Punk because, all the personal reasons between Punk and Seth. And then you get this incredible moment of Roman doing an incredible job looking absolutely gutted and betrayed.
Yeah.
He looks like somebody shot his dog. Like he is devastated by and I read it online somewhere. It's like, he's devastated because he's been betrayed by only one of three people he's ever allowed himself to trust. He has never trusted members of the bloodline. He's expected them to follow him because he's the head of the table. The whole Jey Uso feud was him delivering, I am the head of the table.
Yeah.
At no point, and he put them against each other. He manipulated them while he was head of the table and doing all of that.
Yeah.
So it was never about trust and loyalty, except with the wise man.
Yeah. There is also Paul being the last of the original bloodline to betray him. Again.
After he refused to betray him by backing Solo, like but I think it is after Roman shoves him and attacks him on that Raw earlier in the week. It is a moment of,
why do I have to pay for your favor?
Yeah. It's a just total, like, you are not my friend, you are my lackey. I shouldn't have to be dealing with this. And it's even though the favor, all of this was to benefit Roman.
There's also a beautiful, just a beautiful parallel, I thought, of you cut back to WrestleMania a year ago, Roman loses, and there's beautiful, behind the scenes kind of, or fan cam footage of Roman and Paul hugging at the top of the ramp while Cody and everybody are celebrating in the ring. And then, to cut forward a year, and Paul and Seth with their shit-eating greens just looking back at the devastation they wrought. But also, I love there were also just moments of, Punk still just kind of happy to be there, happy to be in the main event.
He did it.
He's betrayed as well, but he got his big moment of Living Color playing him down to the ring again, and kind of getting to be the last entrance of WrestleMania for the main event of night one. There,
it's night one, but it's the main event, and that is back to his Pipe Bomb podcast with what's his name, Colt Cabana. He said, is there you did everything, and he goes, I never main evented WrestleMania. That has always been his hang up for a long ass time, and that was the whole thing. I'm back because I'm going to main event WrestleMania. I'm going to win the Rumble to do it. All this stuff from not this past year, but the year before, was all about that. The whole Drew McIntyre. One of the reasons they won Rivalry of the Years because McIntyre injured him.
I mean, that's exactly the fact that he returned over a year ago, but missed Mania last year because he was injured, or he was there, but on commentary, couldn't wrestle at Mania last year.
So he couldn't main event, and this is him getting to main event. Is it main eventing night one? Yeah, but he can still say, I main evented WrestleMania.
Yep.
And that, I think that is a pin for him in his career for him to be happy about.
Yep.
Maybe he can fucking be happy about something in his life.
And then, as we touched on earlier, I think this is a great opportunity to set Seth up to basically go after Jay and be like, I'm taking my belt back.
Yep.
You're not worthy of my belt. I held this belt, I was the first, champion with this belt. I held it down, and I've watched, it just kind of linger
in
for
obscurity.
The last year. So I'm taking this belt back.
This belt should have been the main event of night one of WrestleMania. Yeah. He has plenty of fuel for this feud.
Yeah.
And Jay,
and instead you open the WrestleMania. Yeah. How are you the main event if you're the opening match of WrestleMania?
Yeah, just really tear into him, and you can. It's going to be I really hope that's the direction to go, because it will be great.
And it's one of the things I love about it, CM Punk, Seth Rollins doesn't need Paul Heyman on the mic.
Nope.
Roman and Brock benefited from having Heyman on the mic, but you can Seth and Heyman can both do that part of the job. And so I think it'll be interesting to see how they do that in tandem, or does Seth just kind of hand off some of that stuff so he doesn't need to be, on all sides or whatever. Yeah, I'm very curious to see where he goes with it. I think you can have Punk still go off and face off against Cena or something like that. And then Roman, who's already kind of on a very part-time schedule, I'll be curious to see whatever he does in the months ahead, to see if he falls back into a feud with Cody or something like that. Wherever Roman goes, I don't think we're going to see a ton of him. Maybe he'll pop back up at Money in the Bank or something, or SummerSlam. But be curious to see where all of that.
Oh, what would be interesting is if Roman is in the Money in the Bank match.
Maybe.
Because he's never done that.
Yeah. The same, the argument I would have against that is he doesn't need Money in the Bank to get title shots, just like Brock didn't need Money in the Bank to get title shots. So I think that's a waste of a Money in the Bank winner. is if you put it on those guys. In the same way, it was a waste of to give it to Cena back in the day. Like, put that on somebody that you can build up as a new
Mr. Money in the Bank
guy.
Yeah.
And do great stuff with it, like they did with Damian Priest and whatnot. So, or Tiffy Stratton. So we move on to night 2, where we kick off things with my ultimate match of the weekend, and then probably the opening night triple threat was probably my number 2. But the women's world championship match between Io, Bianca, and Rhea Ripley, easily, like, just they hit the ground running and just never let up the gas, and all 3 of those women doing incredible work, and I'm so glad that Io still walked away the champion on that, because, like, from the jump, she's the first one out. I'm like, she's the champion. Don't make her the first one out. Like, let her have the WrestleMania entrance. But then they give a little bit more flashy entrances for Bianca and Rhea. But I love that they continued to play into the story of Rhea and Bianca are too focused on each other, and continue to underestimate Io and kind of look at her as an afterthought. And Io just kind of capitalizes on that throughout the match. Everybody has great big spots, and gets a lot of their great offense in, and just does a great match to open and kind of set the tone for night 2 of Mania. And I absolutely love the kind of the ending of Bianca hitting the KOD on Rhea, and then immediately gets hit by the moonsault from Io, and gets pinned
over the moonsault.
Yeah, there you go. Gets the pin on Bianca. I think, especially because Io and Bayley also had like one of the best matches of Mania last year, that then kind of felt like it got overshadowed because of all the main event stuff that was happening last year. I love that Io got a great showcase here, and I hope that it cements her as like, no, I'm worthy of being the champion, and we get good fun feuds for her moving forward. And I hope Bianca and Rhea go off into a feud against the 2 of them for the time being, maybe to set up as a number 1 contender or something like that. But I want to see them deal with their stuff and not immediately go back into the title scene. Because as much as I love Rhea Ripley, I think she's been there a lot. Bianca Belair, I think, also belongs in that scene. But I also want to see some other people kind of take, especially the year after the year was pretty much all Rhea Ripley or Liv Morgan for that belt. I will be glad to see
some new faces
kind of get a little bit of breathing room, especially because you're probably going to have some NXT call-ups or something like that here in the post-Mania pull. And I don't know if they're going to immediately throw Stephanie Vacour or Julia into the scene, but I think they could. Admitted that and follow enough of Stand and Deliver to know who came out on top of any of that stuff, but they could totally do a Paige or something like that. So anyway, love this match. You got to see some highlights from it. Anything jump out at you?
Everything you kind of covered already. Bianca Belair's hair whip into that kiss of death, I think, is a fantastic sequence. Of like so many moments that anybody could have pinned anybody, but was interrupted by that third man. That's like triple. Like, I really want to go back and rewatch all of this one, because I think that triple threats are so hard to get right, and the fact that we got 2 of them at this Mania is fantastic. So I really want to go back and rewatch that. From the highlights that I saw, definitely feels like high stakes. Pins could happen at any moment. There's no dominant 2 and one's an afterthought. It really is like that level of competence and that level of like ring awareness that is needed for a great triple threat match.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to going back and watching that one.
Yeah, there were definitely a lot of great bits in there, and I thought they did a good job of mixing, somebody kicking out to show their own resiliency versus, this person clearly wouldn't have kicked out, but the pin got interrupted by the third person. I thought they did a good job there, especially in the spirit of keeping Io very strong for this. great match.
Yeah, the fact that they have during this entire feud, they have made Io look the equal of Rhea and Bianca, who have both been built up as extremely powerful champions. I think says a lot about how you can take somebody who is part of a faction like Damage Control, have them break out, and
when they introduced representing Damage Control, I'm like, oh, that's right, Damage Control's still a thing.
Technically still a thing,
because Asuka and Kairi have both been out injured for a while. So they and I don't even know if Dakota Kai is still in the group or not, but I also haven't seen her in a while. So
she was at a pre-show thing I saw on social. So
yeah, I mean, I'm sure she was around. I just don't know. Like I because I don't really watch the day-to-day stuff so much and just kind of get most of my recaps from like, you know, your Simon Millers of the world or whatever. Shout out Ups and Downs. It's very much like oh, that's right, I forgot Damage Control is still a thing.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those things that felt like it could have ended last year after Bayley, you know, beat Io. The Damage Control could have just like, you know, slid off into the wastes or whatever. So the fact that it didn't was like, oh, that's weird. Anyway. Diving into the next match, the Sin City Street Fight with Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest. You were super hyped on this one because you were watching like the highlights right before we sat down to record. So what of this one really jumped out to you that you liked?
Two big beefy dudes hitting each other with heavy metal objects and like putting each other through tables will never not entertain me.
Yeah.
The fact that you have two guys who are willing to go that distance of that level of meanness and brutality that a hardcore match requires, a Sin City Street Fight requires. I remember, and it brought me back to a match that honestly should be that this match is equal, but is not because of the era that it was in. But the Chicago Street Fight between Dean Ambrose and Luke Harper, two guys from the Extreme Wrestling indie background who were relegated to a PG level street fight with a pile of chairs in the middle of the ring. And like, I'm so glad it did not turn into one of those. It is a true street fight. It is people beating the shit out of each other and putting people through tables, trying to go old school on the top rope and getting shoved through two tables, the Claymore through into a chair in the corner of the ring is just the best way to finish that match. Mm-hmm. Hard to be like, what? How else could you have finished it better? I don't think you can. The brutality of it being like, yeah, no, maybe we didn't go out into the crowd. Maybe we didn't go backstage. Maybe we didn't do that. No, we stayed near the ring and we put on a show.
Yeah. Priest hitting the Razor's Edge
through
a chair or through a table.
Awesome.
Him hitting the choke slam through onto the steel steps was a great spot. Yeah, lots of fun. They also, I don't know if you caught this in the recap stuff, but they did the first thing that has made me miss that I have eliminated my Twitter account because Drew at one point took another selfie. Like he grabbed his phone from his brother-in-law or whatever, took a selfie and handed it back over to him. And so I was like, I'm sad I'm not gonna get to enjoy whatever silliness that is.
It was still bored at work.
There you go. Nice.
Because the famous one was the one that he did against
Seth last year, bored at work.
Yeah, bored at work.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So excellent stuff. Continues to be excellent. Drew continues to be a great heel. Damien's a great mean baby face, and I think this match is just here's, like I said, you will not stop. Like, it is hard for me not to be entertained by two big beefy guys beating each other up with big hard objects.
Yeah. And both of these guys are guys I could see going into the Money in the Bank match,
Absolutely.
Especially if, Seth is champion by that point, because obviously they, have that history and have a grudge to pay and all that stuff. So, lots of fun on that one. And we have the Fatal 4-Way for the Intercontinental match between Braun Breaker, Finn Balor, Penta, and Dominic Mysterio. Another one that played out exactly how we thought it was going to play out with Dominic kind of being the shitty, slimy heel and stealing the win. It was a lot of fun. watching it kind of in like play out in real time, because you have Penta getting his offense in and having some great like lucha moments. You have Braun doing his scary as hell, like offense, including spearing Carlito through a table, through the announce table, from one announce table through the other announce table. You have Judgment Day of Finn and Dominic working together to get over some of the other guys, but then at one point Finn's in the 619 position or just about, and Dominic basically is like, well, now's my time, and drop kicks him, and basically Finn catches him and it's like, what are you doing, which then sets up their falling out for the rest of the match, into the closing bit, where Finn hits his offense and a coup de grace on Braun Breaker and goes for the pin, but then is interrupted by the frog splash from Dom, who pins Finn to take the title away. And then I was amazed by how over Dom was by the crowd, I guess. Like, it felt like the crowd was playing into like, yeah, we want the bad guy to win this one. And they're like, I'll be curious, because people are like, oh, like Dominic's going face. I'm like, I don't see Dom ever really succeeding as a face, but okay.
No, they brought him in to be a baby face, and he didn't work.
At least not while that stupid mustache is on his face and he's got the mullet. Like, maybe he can be a tweener, like an Eddie Guerrero style tweener.
That's what I think he's going for at this point, is tweener. I think that he has, there's something going on with him right now, and I think one of the funny things in the recap I was watching was after he went up the ramp, it was like cheering up there, and Finn's walking back, like injured.
Yeah,
he runs past
back
Finn
down
to
the stage. To cheer on to get his like mania moment on the turnbuckles and soak in the adoration. Yeah, it was very much, he initially does the run up the ramp, to get out of dodge moment that the New Day did, but yeah, then he takes a second beat and absolutely goes back down. I don't know if that was like somebody on the in the headset basically like calling an audible and saying, hey, go back down there and relish.
I think he just did it to piss off Finn. I think it was done to just, that's because Finn looked pissed, and I think I think this is setting up a Finn's big guy, big backing in Judgment Day still after Damian broke off from them was McDonough, like whatever his name is, the Irish.
JD McDonough.
Yeah, McDonough.
Yeah,
McDonough's been out.
Yep.
So Carlito's much more of Carlito seems to be more of a Mysterio guy.
Yep.
Than a Balor guy.
Yep.
So is this his way of kind of like, I'm taking control of Judgment Day?
That's I think either, yeah. I mean, I think there's either a world, especially because Liv and Raquel lose their belts as well. I think there's either a world where Judgment Day finally breaks up, which has been like teased for 2 years now at this point or whatever, or they say,
remember when Edge founded it like 4 years ago?
Right? Yeah. With God, who did he have in it?
It was Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley.
Yeah, Damian and Rhea.
And then they brought Finn in, and then Finn.
Yeah. Coup.
The coup de grace, as it were.
Exactly. Yeah, I think ultimately, yeah, it'll probably be Dom takes over and still like basically continues to be the like leader of, or like basically takes over as leader of the Judgment Day, even though they're like, no, we're not leaders. One of the things I tweeted out on Blue Sky is especially when Finn's doing his entrance and stuff, I miss Finn's old entrances. Like I miss his old music and his old big moments where he would like, have that big like moment where he would do that and like the crowd would
and we did it ourselves.
Like
we were there that one night and we did it with him. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I think, and this is why an interview that he did recently was he talked about the demon again, and he said towards the end of it, it felt like it wasn't really working anymore. That's when he went Balor Club with it and everything years ago. And he said, if I brought it, he goes, I think I could bring it back, and I think we could make it really cool. My thought, and this is my theory going into in the next couple of weeks, is we see Finn back away. We see Finn fade away a little bit, and then it starts looking like something's hunting down Dom. At first he thinks it's Braun, because I think Braun is definitely still going to be like chasing Dom's ass. I think that's going to be great. Because I forgot who I saw. I think it was on like Kind of Funny's predictions. A couple weeks of Braun Breaker chasing after after Dominic is gold.
This match started out with everybody in the four corners, and Braun immediately beelines it for Dom, and Dom like ducks out of the way, basically avoids it.
And I can see Carlito taking a lot more spears from Braun Breaker, leading to him quitting Judgment Day because I'm tired of taking the spears for you, man.
Yeah.
Like you just throw me in front of you, and I'm taking the hits. It's like that's not cool. Which is a perfect throwback to cool, not cool.
Cool guy, yeah.
Cool guy, yeah. I think that'd be a great thing to do. And then you start seeing like Dom afraid of what's chasing him, and what ends up chasing him, the return of the demon.
Yeah.
You know, we don't get Undertaker anymore. We don't get Kane anymore.
The Fiend, obviously, Bray Wyatt.
The Fiend unfortunately passed away. Like
and then the Wyatt 6 has basically been off for a while because Bo Dallas has reportedly been injured, which that fucking sucks. That like one guy's injured, so you take out 5 other people, you know, from getting TV time. Like work around that. Guys.
Yeah, you work around that, but also like it's fucked up, but also you didn't have anything else planned except around Uncle Howdy. What do you do about that? In which case, if he can't wrestle, then have him do a sit out and just like have other people wrestle for him. Like
have him sit in the Bray Wyatt rocking chair and do like cut the promos. Yeah, I'm so annoyed by that whole thing. But also at the same time, even
is there enough time?
Even the Fiend Bray Wyatt, like rest his soul, like all that stuff was far more interesting in the like pre-release teases. They could never actually make it anything worthwhile after the debuts and stuff like that. And so like the Wyatt 6 felt like the same kind of thing. It was like, oh, there's a lot of intrigue here, but then they came out and then just immediately WWE doesn't know what to do with that anymore. So
I think that's also part of the problem. I just don't think they know what to do with the Wyatt 6.
Yeah. The rumor has basically been that Alexa Bliss would come in and, you know, take over / tie into her past with the Fiend. But yeah, that's because they haven't had anything to do. They've just kind of kept everybody off TV. So maybe it'll be a post-Mania storyline stuff that comes.
It'd be cool. I think it'd be a cool thing to introduce post-Mania. Also, storylines have been real busy lately too. Yeah. I also get that if they're like, hey, even if Bo's like healed up and able to go.
That's the thing. Like the part of the problem there is, like they've had SmackDown being 3 hours for, you know, the last few weeks because USA lost their 3 hour, you know, Raw show. So SmackDown's been 3 hours, and they haven't had
3 hours of content
to fill 3 hours. They should have, but they've stretched things out, or they've let, you know, Cena and
Cody
promo go for, you know, half an hour, 45 minutes or something like that.
That's not
all right. That doesn't need to happen.
Nope.
It can be a 15-minute opening promo, and you can get 2 other matches and get 10 people on the card or something like that. So yeah, they've had a hard time filling it sounds like a perfect solution to filling that, and they could because it's the idea of like, okay, yeah, you can have long shows on Netflix, you can have long shows here on SmackDown now, so that gives you an opportunity to show us more of the talent that you have that doesn't get the screen time, and they just haven't done that. They've still kind of been like, well, we're going to focus on the, you know, top 15 guys or whatever.
But then you're always going to focus on those top 15 guys, and you're not going to build any lower card storylines. Like, you need to do that.
Yeah.
That was always like a big problem, especially when you look back to the Attitude Era, is all the focus and all the effort was put onto these big stories for the top guys, and the lower card guys got screwed.
Yep. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where that all shakes out. We have there's already Aleister Black's being teased for a return for next week. Again, you're probably going to have some NXT call-ups here.
Yep.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see where all that stuff goes in the weeks ahead. Then we get this is when you got back today. So this is when you we got the Randy Orton segment, his open challenge, and who's gonna show up. Rumors had been like, oh, Rusev's re-signed, maybe it'll be Rusev, and instead we get say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry getting a great Mania moment, lovely pop, like a wonderful payoff after his Royal Rumble moment, all the stuff he did with NXT last year. Obviously, he gets to be on WrestleMania as the TNA champion. Absolutely love that. Even though I knew, like, okay, yeah, now that it's Joe Hendry, he's absolutely not going to go over Randy Orton. Randy Orton, especially when they're making a big deal about this being like the anniversary, like 20th anniversary of Randy Orton at WrestleMania kind of thing. So another one, like I specifically did not ask for your prediction on this one Friday night because it was a TBA and it was like, we'll make the prediction kind of in the moment. But you mentioned that you basically locked in whoever the TBA is, that's who you were making the call for. And I was like, oh, that's okay. Gave you the option to second guess that, but no, you stayed with Joe Hendry. They had a fun little match. Joe Hendry got a couple of RKOs. But yeah, it was basically a 3 minute 10 seconds. I think the shortest match of the weekend. Ultimately, like, as much as I loved the build up that they were doing between Randy and KO, and I'm always bummed when Kevin Owens doesn't get to do a thing because I think he is one of the best wrestlers of modern age, and one of just the smartest. The fact that he couldn't do it. So they made the best out of a bad situation. Give this little moment to Joe Hendry, who I got to imagine is absolutely going to be WWE bound whenever his TNA contract is up. So absolutely love that. So much fun to see him pop up there and get that response in front of 60,000 people. Anything to add on that one?
In this case, I like Joe Hendry deserves it. Like what a rise in superstardom. I remember Joe Hendry being the mayor of indie wrestling in the UK for What Culture Wrestling. Mm-hmm. I just have so much love and appreciation for that guy, for what he's done for the indie scene over the years. And for him to have his big moments in TNA, be the TNA champion, for him to be at Royal Rumble, for him now to be at WrestleMania. This man deserves all the flowers in the world. Getting to see his gimmick mimicked by the legendary Randy Orton.
Yeah.
Doing it, like everything going into it, getting to do a second RKO on him.
Before doing the second RKO, Randy putting him over and like raising his hand and kind of giving him that moment for the crowd and
even though we all knew it was coming.
Exactly. We all know that this is just a setup so you can give him another RKO. But yeah, the like him like giving Joe Hendry his flowers and I mean, to a lesser degree, I would say even him giving TNA, flowers to be like, yeah, like the TNA champion is worthy of being here with us here at WrestleMania. Was lovely. And then we get the second RKO, of course.
Hey, it's Randy Orton, vintage Orton, Yeah. Great moment, great spots. Joe Hendry got to do his stuff. I think the fact that Joe Hendry, if I recall, he never got his finisher off.
His finisher, I believe, is a little bit more of like a choke slammy kind of thing. So he started to do that, but Randy got out of that.
Yeah, Randy got out of that.
Like his other big move is his, over the back body slam kind of thing that he does the kip up from. He did get that one in. But that's not his finisher. And so I think another thing also is that he got to protect his finisher as well. Sure.
Which is good.
Yeah. Him getting thrown out of the Royal Rumble by Roman Reigns and losing to Randy Orton here at Mania. It's a good few months for Joe Hendry.
Hey, it's all good.
Yeah.
I think that's the more important thing is that as the champion of another brand, you can always lean on, well, I didn't get to do my finisher. He wouldn't have kicked out of that. You can always lean back on that, even though in the modern era, that doesn't really matter. Yeah. But I think that's great. This match was just fun. It was an internet wrestling fans dream come true.
That's like all the wrestling stuff I watched is very UK based stuff. So it is like Simon over at What Culture. It's the Cultaholic guys. Recently I've gotten really into the Wrestle Talk team. And so all of them are gonna have absolutely lost their shit. I'm just gonna go and watch their watch along moments to see their reaction to.
Well, you won't see Simon Miller's because he was there at Mania.
Yeah. But Cultaholics watch-alongs, the Wrestle Talk watch-alongs and stuff like that. And Simon Miller will have the ups and downs where he will give Joe Hendry the biggest of ups. Simon Miller's own personal channel where he does of a little more low-key one. He will absolutely give Joe Hendry the biggest of ups. Already seeing Tim Geddes from Kind of Funny who was there.
Freaking out
and tearing up for Joe Hendry being there at Mania. These are the this was a WrestleMania moment.
Yeah.
TM,
dude, seeing 60,000 plus people sing and clap along to Joe Hendry's song and wave side to side with him.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. What a moment.
Yeah.
What a moment. Yeah.
And it was one of those, like, it was always okay, whoever's going to come in here isn't going to be at the level where, like, it makes sense, at least for me, for, like, Randy to lose, to eat the loss. So, like, of the potential options you had out there that were, circulating, of your Rusevs, I mentioned to you Jeff Cobb recently, seemingly done with his New Japan
run.
stuff.
Yep.
So yeah, for it to be Joe Hendry, which wasn't, not on the radar, in part. Now, like, there's the whole he had a recently was out there talking about how he's injured, like a rotator cuff injury. Now I'm like, was that a work to prepare for this, or is he really injured and still got to do this moment and got to make the most of it? And just obviously that's another thing that I guess, like, storyline wise, even if it isn't, or maybe it was a storyline injury to protect him further, knowing that this loss was coming. He can go back on TNA and be like, hey, I got to have my WrestleMania moment, and if I meet you again, John Cena, Randy Orton, at 100%, I think things will go differently. I think he can absolutely cut that promo.
That'd be sick as hell. Like that. I think that'd be sick. I think that'd be so sick. I think it sets him up for a firm challenger over in TNA, of being like, hey, you went to another promotion and you lost, so
yeah,
I think you don't deserve to be our champion. That's a great gimmick to run with, or like a storyline to run down. So
yeah,
overall great match. Solid. It was going to be a solid match no matter what. We're gonna like it no matter what because it's Joe Hendry was in there. But yeah, overall great time.
Yeah. Then we have the flip side, Logan Paul defeating AJ Styles. Obviously I was complaining the entire time about Logan Paul just being a shit person and fuckface Paul, as I wrote him on our prediction sheets.
Yep.
But despite that, we both predicted that he was going to win here and go over AJ.
And it was going to be a really athletic, great match. Because
I didn't think it was. I thought this was the worst of Logan's matches.
I think this is the worst of Logan Paul's matches, but I thought
this was wildly boring.
I didn't find it boring.
AJ didn't do anything to elevate it. Like, I was expecting big moments to replace the fact that they can't do the mid-air collision between Logan Paul and Ricochet anymore. I was expecting to get something
big like that,
highlight reel that they can do for that. And
there's no highlight reel, I think, in this one. I think this is for me, I think there was a lot of like athleticism in this match for sure. I think that there was a lot of like, for me, this is a solid match, but is this like a match that should have been at WrestleMania?
Yeah, there we go. This is not a Mania match.
This is not a Mania match. No. This is a payback. This is this could
this
even
is a Mania match because Logan Paul is Logan Paul.
Yeah.
That's the only reason this is on Mania.
It should have been bigger, and it should have been more phenomenal.
Sure.
I expected there to be a lot more high spots. I expected there to be a lot more stuff, and we didn't get a lot of that, and it's disappointing. If you're going to give me a Logan Paul and force that into my life, then fucking make it worth it while, and it was not. Like, this is, I think at its best, this might have been like a lower end SummerSlam match. But it's certainly no Mania match by any stretch of the imagination. This is one of the weakest matches, I think, on the entire, like, both nights of the card.
But also the second longest match of the night. Ugh.
Yeah. That's another problem too. It was long as hell.
Yeah.
Drawn out. Also, yeah, you could also see like Paul was getting gassed at some points in the match too.
Yeah.
And it should have been better than it was, considering the caliber of AJ Styles and considering the athletic ability of Logan Paul, but it wasn't. It was bad.
Yeah.
Or it was bad for a Mania match for sure.
Yeah. So then in the semi-main event, we had Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, the women's tag team champions, facing Lyra Valkyria and originally Bayley. But as I mentioned, she got written out in the pre-show of night one, which basically immediately everybody was like, oh, okay, well, like when Adam Pearce is backstage being like, you have 24 hours to find a new, partner, everybody's like, oh, well, that's going to be Becky Lynch. And sure enough, that's who ends up popping out.
I didn't think it was going to be Becky Lynch, but I'm real glad I was.
Especially like I thought it was going to be just in general because they've been, because Becky's been back, on the cards for a while, kind of thing. But the thing that cemented it for me was her posting from gorilla position, like her reaction when Seth won last night. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, she's definitely like there and around and will be, it would be a waste to not have her there. But then you factor in that Lyra Valkyria and Becky have this nice little Irish connection thing, and could kind of play into that. It being, Becky's last, I believe Becky's last match was at Mania last year. Or maybe,
it was.
Did she? I don't remember. She might have done like one show after.
It was her last match was Mania last year.
Okay. Against Rhea, yeah. I thought she had done one more to put over Liv after Rhea was going to because Rhea had to basically vacate the title after she got injured right after Mania. So I thought Becky won that and then Liv beat her. But
yeah, she might have.
I might be remembering that incorrectly. But whatever the case, Becky has definitely been gone for a while after her contract lapsed and all that stuff. So yeah, her coming back here, getting that crazy WrestleMania pop, absolutely a ton of fun.
I read online already, she is back full time. This is not a part-time thing.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, yeah, like I imagine her and Seth are gonna the reason they're great is because they're the workhorses. They show up. They don't do the part-timer thing.
Also, their daughter's like now old enough that she can travel with them.
Yep, she can be on the road with them.
Yep.
So yeah, lots of fun there. Lyra and Becky winning, making Lyra 2 belts, as a fun little, succession to Becky 2 belts from a couple years ago.
Yeah, I think that this also is a great kind of like senpai kohai moment of like elder student, younger student type of like a situation of Becky is part of an older generation of Irish wrestlers who broke into the business through NXT and everything. She was kind of considered the odd duckling of the 4 horsewomen back in NXT. And she has since surpassed, I think, every other member completely. I think she's the best out of all the 4 horsewomen. My favorite is still Bayley, but that's a personal thing. Because Bayley's still Bayley to me.
I would say I tweeted this out too, or skeeted this out. Becky was one of my favorites even before she became the man. I remember
there's a Funko Pop right behind you.
There is, yes.
As a testament to that.
Indeed, yes.
You don't have any other wrestling
my
Funko
Becky Lynch
Pops.
Fun Pop. I think I have in my closet somewhere a The Man shirt, which I believe is like one of my only wrestling shirts. But yeah, I liked her. I liked her even before the man turn and all that stuff because she was just like she had such a fun, charismatic energy to her, and it's something I actually miss of hers. Was like before she was the man, she would just do the dumbest, goofiest things on Instagram, where she would like post like a series of stories that were just all food puns or something like that. And I miss seeing her lightheartedness to her. But yeah, shout out to like I'm never gonna be mad that like the man character shot her into superstardom and stuff like that. When getting to see her win the Royal Rumble when we went was all-time highlight in a live in-person wrestling moment for me. Hearing her music pop and basically when Fit Finlay sends her down to the ring, it's like, all right, fine, go. And the crowd just losing their shit in Bangor Park, Chase Field, whatever. And then basically getting to stand there against the ramp when she is walking down the ramp at the Raw after the Rumble there, and like I still attribute our crowd for killing Ronda Rousey's original push because she could not hold her own on the mic and we let her have it. And she has always hated the fans, but I think she really hated the fans after that night.
That was the night that we turned her against the fans entirely.
Yeah. And everyone was like, yeah, we like, of course we want Becky. Becky's amazing. Ronda, you suck. Go away.
They were pushing her face, and we turned her heel.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy, did we!
She could not handle and recover from the mic the amount of boos that we were giving.
I hated who surrounded us at Monday night because they were the most obnoxious dicks in the world.
Yeah.
But we were all one in that moment.
Yeah. Shout out. I'm always going to be a fan of Becky coming back.
Yeah, Becky
and getting big WrestleMania moments. Absolutely.
Also, she did the post show with her daughter on her lap, and that's the most adorable thing I've seen in years.
Lovely. I'm going to have to go catch that.
Yeah, honestly, Becky is the man.
Yeah, this was very much like we had both predicted that Judgment Day was going to retain when it was Lyra and Bayley, and then as soon as like Becky's music hit, like I had already predicted that Becky was going to be the replacement, and so I kind of had already switched my prediction there to it's going to be Lyra and Bayley.
Yeah, and then when she came out, I was like, hey, that's my prediction.
Do you want to change your prediction?
That's my prediction right there.
Okay.
Yep. I'm changing mine to them winning because there's no way. The man is losing her return at WrestleMania.
Unless somebody came in to like unless Bayley came down for a heel turn to like steal it from them or something like that, it was going to be them. Which does beg the question of like where does Bayley fit into that story coming out of this? Like who attacked Bayley kind of in storyline to make did Becky attack Bayley to
give her an opening to get back?
Yes. Attack Bayley and Bayley's just an innocent bystander and all this. I'm also hopeful, just like it did when Becky teamed with like Trish and Lita. I hope it adds a little bit of oomph to the women's tag division, which has seemingly kind of suffered a little bit in the afterthought. But yeah, hopefully we get some fun stuff out of this. And also I like that it keeps Becky out of immediately going for the big titles now that she's back. I'd love to see Becky kind of stay in the tag scene here, or and maybe this is what they're going to do. Maybe they're going to tag for a little while and then have like a breakup angle, and Becky goes after Lyra's Intercontinental belt because it's it's one of the belts she has not held. So now that she's back, she might want to take that. And similar to what we were talking about with Charlotte, maybe she comes in to try and elevate that title and give it some additional merit and stuff like that. But whatever the case may be, I'm happy to have Becky Lynch back. And then finally, we wrap up the night with John Cena and Cody Rhodes. John Cena obtaining his 17th world title, breaking the quote-unquote Ric Flair record that WWE has touted for many years, despite the fact that Ric Flair has held many more world titles than WWE recognizes.
I think he's around 60 or something like that. Like, it's insane.
No, I wouldn't go that high.
Maybe not 60. Sorry.
Like the if you go to like Cage Match or somebody, I think it's closer to like 23, 24 or something like that. So it's just always weird. Like, why did they've landed on 16 so that they could draw this comparison between Ric Flair and John Cena, but whatever. As they say,
depending on the record, it's 16, 17, or 25.
There you go. 25 is I think the one I always think of.
Yeah.
But yeah, as they often say, if you've won the title 16 times, it also means you lost the title
16 times.
So,
yep.
But yeah, John Cena finally winning here. I was underwhelmed by this match.
Very underwhelmed.
You were enjoying it a lot in the moment, I thought, in terms of like you were loving the pacing of heel Cena, and I was like, this is the pacing that you get with normal Cena too, a little bit more drawn out, especially when he does like the 5 moves of doom. When he started doing that, he would do the move and then kind of like soak in the boos from the crowd before moving on to the next thing.
I think 2/3 of the way through the match is when I sour on it.
Gotcha.
It's not when Travis Scott comes out, it's before then. It's when the match stops being at, and this is the whole thing. I love methodical wrestling. I will go on record by saying that my favorite match of all time is the hour-long draw between Okada and Omega in New Japan. It is. I
thought you were going to say the Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels hour-long draw.
No. Good, great match, but no. Okada.
That match does not hold up.
I haven't seen it in a long time, so maybe it doesn't.
It's really boring for an hour, basically. is how that one feels. Versus, I would say Okada and Omega, definitely a much more modern, high energy approach to an hour-long match.
Omega does a dragon suplex.
Also,
to
that one
Okada
wasn't
off the
an Iron
rope.
match anyway. It was just
it was supposed
time limit draw.
It's time limit draw. Yeah. that match, I've gone on record by saying that's the greatest wrestling match of all time, in my opinion. But a big part of that is the pacing. And it is a lot of making decisions to try to take advantage of the match and win the match. So like when John Cena's starting this match off and he's playing coy, he's doing a lot of like heel things while just having this swagger and confidence about him.
He's holding the rope, forcing the brakes, all that stuff.
I love that because also I know you don't love it. I think that it's great heel work. I think that because how do you get everybody saying like all the dumb smart marks out there are cheering for Cena now that he's heel, and how do you turn that crowd against you? By playing methodical and pacing it out and pissing them off. And that's what he does, and I think he just does such a phenomenal job of it. I think that it is he does such like it was so good for me for that reason. But when we get into it, then into the true proper match, it's like, okay, it's a Cena Rhodes match.
I would say one of the things I did appreciate of the match is that he did not rely on the like we're both going to be in the ring and we're going to both like trade punches for the like yes no. Yep, none moment.
Of that.
He loves doing that. I remember one of the times I went to Raw or SmackDown, I forget which here, but it was the dark match was like Cena and was it Shinsuke? Cena and somebody versus Rusev, and Shinsuke was in there. I forget who the fourth one was, but it was like Cena and Rusev did that kind of spot, and like and he loves milking that like yay boo kind of stuff, and I appreciate that he refrained from doing that. He
refrained from doing a lot of the stuff that like is the big Cena things.
Yeah, even the like you can't see me was kind of like the maybe one of the things I just needed Cena to do here was flip off the crowd.
That's why I said when he was walking out, he should have flipped them all off. It would have been great.
Like you can't see me. For him to do his things and just still do them the way he's always done them, but with a little bit low.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Energy is like
that's my problem with this match. Is he's starting to do the things with low energy, and I'm like, oh, I was expecting something different. Flip them off, maybe if you want to do your other stuff. That's fine.
Yeah.
I appreciate
you can't see me kind of like you can't see, and then just stopping it, interrupting it, or something like that.
I think it's when he does the STF. Cole says the STFU, like bringing that back.
Yeah.
For heel Cena, but
that move always sucks.
Yeah, that move sucks, and on top of that, it just doesn't like. The play of it felt weak, and I'm like, you've been mentally in control this entire match, and now you're just playing it regular, and I hate that.
Yeah.
Then we have Travis Scott come out, and we're like, okay, Travis Scott is out, but where's the fucking Rock?
Yeah.
Why have we done all this if the Rock's not showing up? Where's Seth Rollins? That was our big prediction on Friday when we were talking about it, of like, Seth, Paul Heyman, he's gonna join the corporate faction. This is gonna be the big thing. And it didn't happen at all. And
ultimately,
it's bullshit.
I'm very okay with Seth
not
getting sucked into that, especially when who knows when the fuck The Rock's going to show up because of his schedule and stuff. So like, I'm perfectly fine with him staying away if they weren't going to lean into that.
And that's my thing. I'm like, okay, well, then I don't give a damn about Travis Scott.
Yeah.
Travis Scott is not entertaining to me. I don't care that he's the song guy for the main theme of WrestleMania. Nobody cares. Yeah. We have this moment in there, and yeah, sure, Cody gets his revenge moment, and it's a whole tip-off. But for me, it really just is a letdown of...
Like, they're trying to make it a Mike Tyson moment again, or something like that. And it just doesn't. It doesn't work.
It doesn't work, and the worst part, the absolute worst part about it is... Then we just get a typical heel finish.
Yeah.
And I'm like...
the Cena gets the belt. Cody, smart babyface, stops him from hitting him with the belt shot kind of thing, but then like immediately falls for the stereotypical heel, like, oh, I didn't mean it. Oh, don't, like, you gotta be nice to me. Don't hit me with the belt. Only to immediately take the nut shot. And again, it was like, I predicted that. I didn't want that I predicted that ending kind of thing. I wanted Cody to be a smarter heel.
Or a smarter face, you mean?
Smarter face, yeah, sorry.
I wanted Cena to be a better heel. Like, he was doing such great, awesome heel work at the beginning of that match for the first 2/3 of that match. And then he does a sniveling heel maneuver at the very end, and I'm like, that clashes with it. It doesn't work for me.
It's like, oh, this is just a boring heel.
This is boring heel shit. I don't need this.
Yeah. You could have done fun new heel shit, but no, this is just the same kind of heel stuff we've seen. I mean, like, when you're doing the same spot that, like, was, like, in much considered the worst match of, you know, WrestleMania 40, of, like, the Jimmy and Jey Uso thing of, like, no, like, be cool, and then you're just doing that same thing. It's like, that's not a great thing. And so yeah, there's a whole bunch of letdown stuff. Like, well, as much as, like, I wanted and I, you know, predicted Cena to win, and kind of the potential stories that we have now with Cena as a heel champion, great. But yeah, just a terrible execution of that. Especially after the main events that you've had the last couple of years. Yeah. After last night's main event, after both main events of last year's Mania, like, this feels like easily, I mean, it was easily the worst main event in, like, 2 or 3 years.
Absolutely.
Like, even the Mania before, the 39 Mania main event of Roman defeating Cody Rhodes was, like, a great match up until the wrong ending kind of thing.
Sure.
This was just a boring match throughout with a convoluted bad ending. Yeah, the right guy won, you know, for the sake of the future story stuff, but yeah, it was a underwhelming letdown kind of stuff. That said, shout out to Cody's Iron Man helmet thing.
Oh, that was so cool.
He had for his entrance stuff.
That was so cool.
And you were a big fan of Cena's kind of, like,
his blacked out
entrance kind of thing.
Just sucking out all the color, all the fun, all the joy out of his entrance.
Yeah, and also wearing, like, black, you know, ring attire kind of thing.
This is what I'm saying. Like, this is the stuff I'm like, this is good stuff. But then we get a sniveling heel ending, and it's like, that shouldn't have been it. You should have done something smarter, more creative, more different. Because, John, you faced every single heel there is in this industry. You should know better. You should have something better than that.
I mean, maybe benefit of the doubt, that will play into the storyline for the rest of the year. Like, you're not even good at this. You're not good at this, John. You're not good at being the bad guy. You did the same thing that all the other bad guys do. So what are you doing? Why are you doing this? You got your title. Come back to the light.
Maybe
we'll see something. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, so that was WrestleMania 41. Again, I got a nice clean sweep, which is, like, freaking unheard of, especially if we go back to when you and I first started doing predictions, and you basically got to enjoy a year's worth of Portillos off of me.
I did. Thank you, Jinder Mahal. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I just failed to get any kind of prediction wins right in that first year.
That's because you kept playing, thinking, like, well, it'd be better if it happened. I was like, yeah, but Vince McMahon doesn't think that way.
Agreed. Yeah. Apparently, I am much more in tune with Triple H's thinking than Vince's, which I'm perfectly okay with. I mean, well, mostly okay with. Triple H still, you know, probably more MAGA Republican than I would like, given that his mother-in-law is trying to destroy the Department of Education. Fuck that whole family. But yeah.
There's one thing I learned.
Still happy that I got every prediction right.
There's
I can still enjoy that.
If there's one thing I can say after watching the Vince McMahon documentary, is that Linda and Vince McMahon are two peas in a pod. Like, they're both really shitty people. Yeah. So.
Absolutely really shitty people. Are basically married in name only for the last probably 20 years. So yeah, fuck them both. But that was our thoughts on WrestleMania. So yeah, at some point Cameron is going to owe me Portillos, and it will be delicious. Well, thank you, Cam, for joining me to chat about all this. I hope you enjoy whatever other matches you actually sit down and watch in their entirety here in the days and weeks ahead. As we dive into another new year in the wrestling calendar. I'll be very curious to see who pops up in the Raw and SmackDown After Mania stuff. And yeah, again, like, the fact that they are doing, you know, a TLC match on SmackDown instead of a TLC match at fucking Mania is stupid and unheard of. Absolutely would have rather seen that than the Logan Paul and AJ Styles mess. But yeah, that is going to wrap up this episode. You can follow Cameron at revcabot.bsky.social. Anything you want to give a shout out to there, Cam?
Yeah, I want to give a massive shout out to, we just did that D Plus show on Daredevil Born Again, the full season of that. If you want to go check us out over there, our thoughts on it. We were both real hot on it when we did the kind of first couple episodes, and this is kind of our full cumulative thoughts on the season as a whole. I think there's a really great conversation in there, so go check that out.
Yep. You can follow me at trevorjstarkey.bsky.social. In addition to that, we'll also shout out this coming week's that D Plus show is going to be the first couple episodes of Doctor Who's new season, which I caught up on, and I very thoroughly enjoyed the second episode, so I'm very much looking forward to chatting about that one. I don't want to say anything because Cameron has not watched them yet, but yeah, looking forward to very much this coming week's That D Plus show. And then you can also check out our Let's Plays on Cameron and I playing through Split Fiction on the channel. We had the first couple parts of the episode, or of the Let's Play go up last week. We have another couple parts going live this week, and then we're recording this probably the night before we're going to sit down for most likely what will be the finale of our stuff. So stay tuned for that for the next few days. youtube.com/thatnerdysite for all of those Let's Plays. You can follow all of us over at That Nerdy Site or go to thatnerdysite.com for all the latest from us. Once again, if you liked what you heard, please rate, review, like, subscribe, share the podcast with your friends. Tell us your thoughts on Wrestlemania here. Thank you for listening. As always, stay nerdy and be good to each other.